All right guys, in this vehicle specific video, we're gonna be doing a 2018 Toyota Tundra. We're gonna do the two fronts. I'm gonna show you on the driver's door. We're gonna start with the outside prep. We'll go with the door panel removal and then the inside prep and follow up with the hand cutting techniques. So let's just clean up the outside really quick. For the door panel removal, we have to remove the entire door panel, which is fairly easy. We have a screw down here, it's a Phillips head. You're gonna take a hook tool, grab this little carpet here and take that out. And you can see that exposes the Phillips head right there. And we're gonna take a gasket jamming stick to reveal the screw behind the handle. You can see there's a piece of plastic covering it. We're gonna take the gasket jamming stick, stick it in where the lock is, and we're gonna pry back. It is a little tight, but it does pop right off. And it's just a bunch of little clips that pop it into place. And you can see that exposes a Phillips head right there. Then we're gonna go ahead and pull off the speaker triangle piece in the front corner. Let's take the gasket jamming stick, go in from the top, give it a twist and pull with the other hand. Pull it straight back. We'll take this plug out. There's a little tab on the side. You push it, pull the wire out. Once you take the speaker out, you're gonna be left with a white clip here in the door. You're gonna wanna take a hook tool and remove that and reinstall it back onto the speaker panel. So you can see right here, this is where the clip goes. Simply place it on there. That way when we reinstall it, all the clips are in place. One last thing to remove is up in the front. There's a little push pin here, push pin clip. You want to push the center in, only a little bit though. You'll hear a little click. Control your pressure as much as possible because if you push it in too far, it drops into the door and it will be lost. Once you have that center pushed in very slightly, you can grab under the actual clip and pull it out. And then before you go and reinstall it into the door panel, you're going to want to take the clip and pull the center out. You'll put this piece in first, and then the center piece will go in and expand and hold it into place. So put that to the side. Now we can remove the two screws and pop the panel off. Get the one behind the handle first. Pay attention to the one that's behind the handle has a small head. The one that's down here has a larger head. You can see the one on the bottom is much larger than the one behind the handle. Once the two screws are removed, the speaker panel is removed, and that one clip in the front is removed, we're gonna grab the panel from the bottom front corner, pop it back with a quick, hard motion, releasing the clips. There's always one clip that falls out in the Tundra. It's typically in the bottom here. You can see the missing clip there. All you have to do is slide it back into place and it's there. If that happens with any of the other clips, obviously do the same thing and reposition them. So now once we have the bottom released, we're gonna slide the panel up, releasing the gasket. The gasket stays attached to the panel. And then we're gonna line up the bottom edge with line the clips up with the holes and clip those into place. So what we did is we lifted the door panel up, removing the gasket from the panel or the door itself. The gasket stays attached to the panel, and then we mounted the panel to the bottom of the door. That way we have room to work with now. So let's go ahead with the inside prep and then we'll lay out the bulk material. And we'll go ahead and wipe the outside of the bottom edge. Then we can lay out the bulk material. Spray up the window with soapy water solution. And right here on the hood, I have a scrap piece. You can use a 20-inch roll, but it is very close to the top. This is just about exactly 20 inches. So you'll have no room to shift the film down if that's what you wanted to do. But we're gonna use a scrap piece here. I measured it out already to be able to cover the entire window. And we will have to cut the bottom edge since there is no straight edge on this scrap piece. Make sure it doesn't move. We'll cut the bottom edge first. Nice and straight across the bottom. Now when we cut the front edge, you can see how this curves up right here. You're gonna wanna cut right before it starts curving. You don't wanna cut that curve because when the window rolls down, if you have that curve, you're gonna have a light gap there. So we're gonna manipulate that edge and keep it straight. So we'll start from the bottom and cut up right before it starts to curve. which is about 4 inches. Once we have the bottom edge cut, or the straight edge lined up to the bottom and the front edge cut, we're going to release the squeegee mark from being mounted in place. So once we have the bottom lined up, we'll shift it forward 1/4 of an inch, a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. We'll shift this forward 1/2 an inch. Then we'll go ahead and mount it in place. We're going to cut the back, and then we're going to release the mount and shift it back 1/4 inch. That way we have even material extra on the front and the rear, because this window does tend to shift a little bit. So we'll go ahead and cut the back edge. Cut some excess material off. And then since we cut the back already, we're going to release the squeegee mount, spray some soapy water, shift it back slightly. You typically want to have more material on the front than the rear. Line that bottom edge up, mount it in place, and then we'll roll it down and cut the top edge. We'll cut the top edge, mount it in place first. And when you cut this, you want to get as close to the front as possible, because you can see here, the window kind of pulls away from inside of the gasket, or inside of the channel here at the top edge. So we want to try to manipulate that and make sure that when we do the final trimming, that the material isn't going to overhang that front edge, because that could create a complication with peeling down the road. So we'll cut the top edge. Try to continue that rear radius. We did get a bit of an uneven cut, so I'm going to change my blade and recut that. Make sure it's mounted down so it doesn't move again. And if you ever have to recut a top edge, just change your squeegee angle to be a little steeper, and you'll take a very slight hairline off. You can see here. And now we have a clean top edge with the rear radius matched up exact. Now we're going to come to the front. What I like to do here is I'll stick my blade in and cut just about a 1/4 of an inch just along that glass edge there, so I know exactly where I have to trim up to not have to overhang on that front edge. Let's do a continuation of this back first. And then the front edge, we use this mark that we made. I'll cut this off so you can see a little bit better. We use that mark that we made, that lines up at the front there, and we'll try to line from the bottom edge that we cut here, we're going to line it up to that as straight as possible. So use a straight edge and kind of like go along to the part that we cut, and that should be perfect. Clean up the bottom corner, the rear bottom corner, and then we have the front, top, continue from the top, wrap around to the front, and the same thing with the top rear radius. Clean that up just a little bit. And we'll spray this up. What I like to do before I go and apply this, the Toyota Tundra is definitely one of the harder truck windows to do with the front doors, because of the weird shifting that it does and the way that the window pulls out of the channel there. So I like to line it up to the top edge before I go and apply it, just to make sure that my cuts are lined up good enough, and they look good. So I'm going to mount this 1 inch from the top, overhanging on the back, mount it in place, wipe the top edge of the glass, and then we'll go inside and do the spray squeegee spray, and then grab the material from the outside. So we're going to roll it up to about 1 inch from the top, spray down the sides, lubricate the center, squeegee that water off towards the back, overlapping strokes, and then down the back. And we'll go ahead and flush down the back where we brought all the material or all the water, and then flush across the bottom and the front and lubricate the center. Spray it up. And we'll just go ahead and install this. Now from here on, it's just like any other roll down window. We're going to drop the front edge in first, front bottom corner. Line up the top, front, slide that into place. Work the back corner down. And just keep working back and forth, making sure the film stays flat on the glass and you're not getting any creases. Moving the film as one instead of just moving one side. Line up that top edge. Make sure our front's good. We have no light gap there. We look good. We'll go ahead and do our soft mount. Get the majority of the water from between the film and the glass out. Push into the sides. Once the film is mounted fairly in place, we'll do our hard squeegee, going from front to back, overlapping strokes. And then down the back. Check our position. We look good, so we can go over the top now with the gray Graylito card wrapped in the blue huck towel with the heat gun to seal up that top edge. Before I do that, I'll go down the side with the gray Graylito card. Since it is very open on the sides here, you can use the gray Graylito rather than using the Easy Reach because you get a lot firmer pressure with the gray Graylito card. Let's go ahead and push out this top edge, seal it up really nice. It's moving a little bit on me, so what I'll do, if it is moving, you'll see the fingers forming. If a finger forms, that's how you know the film is moving. So you can try to reposition it and the finger should go away. If it is starting to move as you're pushing it, try to do more heating. And once you've heated it for a little bit, then you can go and do the final press and it should stay in place really nice. With this, we can shrink that. The film is in the shrinkable position, vertical up and down. Check for any overhang. Good. Do a final press in the corners. Make sure they're laid down really nice. Do a check from the outside. This window looks great. By the way, we did 35% Suntex Standard Pro. The factory glass on this car or truck is 23-25% when you put a meter on it. So putting 35 gets the closest percentage that you can possibly get. You can get away with putting Suntex Carbon 25%, but this customer wanted Suntex Standard Pro. So the closest we can get without making the two fronts darker is the 35%. 20% would be a little bit too dark. Work out any imperfections. Make sure this top corner is laid down flat. Same with the front, looks good. We can go ahead and roll this up and squeegee out the bottom half. So we'll spray that up. You see we have this finger here from the film shifting a little bit, which is fine. We're gonna squeegee that right out and it may pop up somewhere else, then we'll have to shrink it. The finger did disappear, but there is still pressure within the film that could cause it to pop back up. So we're gonna do the final push across the bottom with the gray Graylito card and the heat gun to make sure that edge is sealed up so that finger doesn't pop back up again. Of course, we gotta push out the sides because we didn't use the Easy Reach on this. So we gotta push out the bottom sides using the gray Graylito card. You can use the Easy Reach. And I like to use the Easy Reach just to seal up those bottom corners that are hard to get to with the heat gun. Wipe our panel down. Seal up that bottom edge really nice. Making sure that you're pointing the heat gun towards the window and not the door panel. You don't want to melt the vinyl on the panel. Give it a check from the outside. This window looks good. So now we can go ahead and reinstall the door panel. Remember, the gasket is attached to the panel itself, so we don't have to worry about removing that. The only thing we have to do is pop the bottom of the door panel back off. And that clip fell off again, but we'll get that once we hang the top on. So the key here is to get the front corner in first. Just push it against the window and let it slide down. And that's it. The top corner is mounted into place. We'll grab that clip that fell off, place it back in. It just slides back in. Line them up around the edges or the perimeter, and then slap it into place. Once you have all those clips back mounted into place, we can plug in the speaker. Very simply slides back in and clicks in. Line up the clips. Give it a slap. We'll put the center pin clip back in. We'll take the center out. Put the surrounding clip in, and then we'll place the center pin in until it clicks, and that's done. And remember, the small head goes behind the handle. The big head goes in the hand grip down here, the Phillips head. Put this one back. We'll place the plastic cover back behind the door handle. Just push around the perimeter to make sure it's firmly in. And then the carpet that's in the hand grip down here just lays into place. The last thing we'll do is wipe the panel down, make sure it's nice and dry, and this window is done. And that is how you tint the front doors on a Toyota Tundra 2019. I'll see you guys in the next video.